Brendan Rice, welcome to the Future of Fitness.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've been meaning to have you on for many years. I mean, I think you and I have kind of kept in touch over the last 4 or 5 years, since really your early days in Wodify. And first and foremost, I always like to say just thank you guys for partnering and sponsoring the podcast here. It's really appreciated, and great brand, great technology, so it aligns really well with the conversations and topics and guests that we have here. So thanks for doing that, man. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. Of course, you're having awesome conversations, and we're excited to support you.
Right on. There's a lot to talk about. I mean, I want to get into your background. I'm always keen on people who start in a company and grow through a company nowadays. It seems so rare, but you're a relatively young guy and you're the CEO of a software company, a major software company in our industry. So that's interesting. And I think there's a lot of other topics that we're going to spin off to, the profitability of gyms, gamifying the fitness experience in an actual meaningful and engaging way that drives, the bottom line, not just, cool stuff, right?
Yeah,
And then, we're going to talk, of course, about artificial intelligence. I don't think there's a conversation that goes by nowadays where we don't get into that. But
yeah,
let's do this, Brendan, just to open up the conversations. Give us a little bit about your background. I know you're a founder of a company before you got to Wodify. So tell us about your journey, and then we'll take it from there.
yeah, definitely. So before Wodify, I kind of was interested in startups and entrepreneurship from an early age. My dad started a company, so I was kind of in that environment. And coming out of college, I didn't have a clear path on how to actually build a career in startups and entrepreneurship. And so I spent the first 2 years out of college working at a startup accelerator. So I got to see early technologies that were being developed by founding teams and learn a lot about what it took to start a company. But after a few years of that, I realized that being on the investor side of the table, while it has a lot of the glamour, like if you're on Shark Tank, the investors have all the power, and there's this dynamic of like the investors are the ones in charge. After a couple of years, I was like, well, this isn't the fun side of the table. People creating all the value are the ones building companies. So I took the leap with the co-founder, and we started an online mattress company. Um, that was back in 2015 or 16, I think, when ordering a mattress online was just becoming a bit of a thing. So it was like the wild west of the mattress industry, and learned, made every mistake in the book, learned a ton. I consider it, we ran the company for about 2.5 or 3 years, and I feel like I got, an MBA equivalent education through failure and learning and starting the company. So started that, and I can get into more of that if you'd like to, but just learned a lot about startups. And towards the end, we ended up selling that company. But when I was thinking about what I wanted to do next, I wanted to attach myself to an organization where I could still have kind of flex those entrepreneurial muscles and still have that impact, but join a team that was building something that I was really interested and passionate about contributing to. And that's kind of ultimately how I ended up at Wodify.
Yeah, right on. With the mattress company, did you develop products, or were you like an aggregator, or like, yeah, what was the actual meat of that
Yeah.
business?
The meat, I mean, very few mattress companies are really developing products. Where a lot of them, including us, were more of a marketing company. So we sourced a very high quality mattress. We're able to sell it through our supply chain for a fraction of what you would pay at a retail store, which is most of the e-commerce models of mattress companies. And then one of our different college graduate, like recent college graduates, people 21 to like 28, and we wanted to create a cool mattress brand, target those folks who move a lot, because most of the time people are buying mattresses when they move, and create kind of a fun experience around that. So that was our main differentiator. The mattress itself, we didn't develop any proprietary technology or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. With your journey at Wodify, when you started, did you think like, yeah, someday I want to be the CEO? Or did you, get started and then just start working up your ranks and then it just happened organically? Like a lot of times people get to executives and they actually didn't want to be there. They just ended up there. It's kind of like leadership is oftentimes not wanted, but forced upon someone. But other times people are very ambitious and like that's the goal. Like, I want to get to the top.
Yeah.
I want to lead this thing. Like what was your kind of headspace going through the last 6 years?
Yeah, it's a good question. Probably somewhere in between. I would say I did not start with the goal of being CEO. I think if I had that as a kind of explicit goal, the work I would have done and the way I would have made decisions would have been slightly different versus, but that said, like I definitely feel like I have a drive and an ambition towards growth and leadership opportunities. So the way I thought about it was like, I want to come into Wodify and like I, said from my entrepreneurial experience, I want to work really hard and have an impact and contribute to this company's kind of mission. And when you work like that in any role, I think opportunities start presenting themselves. So that's combined with great steers and other leadership at Wodify combined with 6.5, 7 years has ultimately led me to the position I'm in now.
Yeah. What how is your like daily, I guess, not routine, but your focus and your drive and the challenges, like as you've gone up in the positions, like how has that changed?
Yeah, I think that the things that haven't changed are how I try to structure my day. I always like to wake up early and get some form of movement or exercise, and then get started on my day fairly early, and then try to make time. I think the way I think about work-life balance isn't really tied to hours of working versus personal life. It's just tied to like making time for friends, family, and some sort of way to disengage from work so you can come back fully engaged.
Uh,
So my days have pretty much looked like that for the past 6 years. The actual work has gone from in the first few years very hands-on, like I was doing everything, to in the past year, I still try to get a lot of that, just because it's fun, like get a lot of that hands-on work. But a lot of my job now, my responsibility is making sure we have a really talented and engaged team, being in, a lot of meetings where I'm just helping folks either make decisions or giving feedback on our product or our approach to customer success or our organization decisions. So kind of how the work shifts is you go from being an individual contributor to maybe managing a team to leading an organization, and you shift from being typing on the keyboard and actually making things to being in meetings. The other thing that I think hasn't changed that I have to continually remind myself to do a good job of is actually getting firsthand experience myself in fitness and with our customers and staying close to the ground floor of the industry, because when you get busier and busier, it's really easy to not do that stuff. So I try to either find ways to get on calls with customers or visit customers or drop in at gyms and kind of stay close to the industry.
right on. As the leader of Wodify, I would imagine something that's constantly in your mind is the competition, the market. How do you differentiate, right? How do you continue to innovate? Like, explain, for people who maybe, because I know, well, let's start with this. Maybe give us insights into the types of clients you have, and then how you guys are really focused on the market and innovating and differentiating amongst there. I think that'd be a good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the best way to explain that is give a little bit of background on Wodify and how we got to where we are today. And so in 2012, Wodify started. It was a side project of our founder, Amit Shah, who started doing CrossFit at a gym in New Jersey. And at the time, CrossFit in 2012 was on its exponential growth curve. And there were CrossFit gyms opening all over the country and more people coming into CrossFit gyms. But the insight that he had was there was a problem. There was a problem in CrossFit, which is people were coming in and working out there for 2 or 3 months and then leaving. There wasn't a lot of people making it past the 90-day mark. Now, there was enough interest where a lot of gyms were still able to stay in business and succeed because there were so many people coming through the door, but there was still that problem existed. And so Wodify created digital. The product we created was digital performance tracking, which is the ability for gym owners to program workouts in a computer, push it up on a screen in their gym, put it on their website, and have clients record their results digitally. Sounds pretty simple, but that is what really stabilized our entire business and changed the landscape of CrossFit. And so what we did is we solved a retention problem in CrossFit. Over the next few years, we built out the rest of our features that created a comprehensive gym management system. And that has allowed us to, our core market is still CrossFit and functional fitness gyms, but it's allowed us to expand into other types of businesses. And so today, going back to your question, we compete in a market that has been kind of termed gym management software. And sometimes people use the term gym management software, CRM. We've differentiated ourselves strategically through the actual features we build to create unique client experiences that are, we don't just do payment processing. And so the term we've coined to try to communicate that is customer retention platform. And that's how we think about differentiation and how we stand out in this market. If I'm talking to a gym owner and they're like, hey, I need a system to process payment and manage my class schedule. That's all I need. You're like, you can probably go buy that for $90. Like, you probably don't need Wodify to do that. And so, yeah, I think the way we differentiate ourselves, again, going back to CrossFit and now in other verticals, is how can we create these tools and systems that aren't just back-end business management. They extend to a lot of different areas of your business and ultimately drive retention, drive business value.
Yeah, I mean, customer retention through a software, I mean, that's such a interpersonal thing. Like, it's relationships, it's community, it's having good products, getting results. Like, retention is a very, last decade has become one of the most important conversation and business metrics when it comes to gyms, which is great because before it really wasn't, at least in the boutique and the micro gym area. So how do you exactly boost retention through a software?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we've thought about this a lot because in the first few years, it was happening. Like, we built digital performance tracking, we improved retention, and we just kept having features. And now we've had the opportunity to kind of step back and be like, okay, what's working here, and how do we define it in a way where we can communicate it? And we can also build our product roadmap to support it. And so the way we think about it right now is our retention effectiveness is broken down into a few categories: client accountability, having an engaged community, and then being able to create a hybrid experience, digital and physical, for our customers. If you can do those three things through software, has to support all three of those things. And if you can do those things, your retention is going to be improved. Some just quick evidence of that. There was an industry report published at the end of last year, the Two Brain State of the Industry report. It's like one of the most comprehensive data sets for these types of boutique, smaller functional fitness type of gyms. And the average length of engagement was 8 months. Our customers, it's about 16 months. So it's double the average when you're using these features to support retention. And so when we outline those three categories, one of the things we did, our marketing team had this great idea about maybe a month or two ago. Like, why don't we send a survey to our customers? We did a little giveaway, and we're like, hey, why don't you tell us stories about how Wodify's helped you in each of those categories? And I think we got like a couple hundred responses that were just these like amazing anecdotes and insights. And one of them, I have a few of them up right now, but one of them was talking about the engaged community, and they talked about how they use Wodify. It's a gym called Mousetrap Fitness. And they said Wodify's our gym's secret weapon. And I'm like, imagine what other business management tool like do you describe as your secret weapon for your business? So I think, that's I can share some more examples, but that's how we think about software helping with retention, is those categories.
Yeah. Interesting, man. I mean, that dovetails nicely into something I want to jam with you on is like, just recently recorded with Juliet Storette and Alex Allen Mastiniano a quarterly report, and we covered CrossFit, which is the first time we've done that. We want to, and getting numbers on the health of CrossFit as a category within fitness is really hard, right? I mean, CrossFit HQ doesn't really share a whole lot, or at least with us. So we look to like Two Brain business report. We look to some numbers gotten from Push Press and a couple other places. But the thing that stood out, and it hasn't really changed, it was kind of a downer, as Julie never talked about it, but specific to CrossFit and functional fitness, which is where you guys are kind of your core market.
Yeah.
Gym owners and affiliates don't make a lot of money. I think the number was an average of $4,000 a month that a gym owner will take home, and that's not enough, right? It's like that means you have to have a second job, or someone you're someone else in the family is bringing in income. So in certain circumstances, it's fine and it can work, but that's not where we want to be, for sure. So when you look at like that particular segment of the industry, how do we make them more profitable? Like, what are the keys, do you think, is it business coaching? Is it more, frameworks? Is it better marketing and sales? Like, I'm sure it's a little bit of everything, but where do you think the core problems are and how can we help that segment?
Yeah, it's a good observation. It's something that we've uh, kind of obsessed over as well. We have a lot of data on our customers, right? And it's a pretty representative sample of CrossFit and functional fitness. And we study those numbers as much or more as we study and optimize our own business metrics. How many, customers we have and our retention. We look at gym owners, average revenue, profit, retention, those numbers. So we think about it all the time. I think there's a lot of different ways I could answer that question. But starting with Wodify and our software, because I know that the way we build features and the way we support our customers can have a direct impact on their revenue and profitability. And so we take that as a responsibility, but also a huge opportunity. And so a few of the ways, so we think about how we can improve lead generation and conversion. That's, how you can get people in door. We think a lot about retention. And then we think about optimizing their business efficiency, which is either lowering costs or saving time. Those three things are pretty big levers of how much money people are taking home and the profitability of their business. The other thing just kind of popped into my head is a lot of gym owners or people in this industry will ask me like what I think the most important metrics for gym owners to track is. And what I've started saying, I used to have kind of a different answer. And now the first thing I start with is profit, because I just realized like people aren't talking about it, paying it, or even know about it. So I'm like, you have to, the first thing is like, you have to, it sounds cliche now, but like you have to treat your fitness business like a business. And I know it probably wasn't it shouldn't have been the reason you got into it, but it has to be part of like your sustainability as a business is to actually treat it like a business and think about profit. So there's some things we've done to improve that. So at a high level, like all of our features are designed to help you with those things. So how we help that problem is we try to educate, we try to build the features and then educate our customers to adopt everything so they can make more money, save time, reduce costs. And yeah, I mean that we show that has an impact on increasing gym's profitability. So I'll pause there. Any kind of detail you want me to go into or follow-up questions from that?
It's all a sense. And what you quoted before we started recording, which I really liked, was no passion without profit, which is passion only gets you so far when it comes to gym ownership. And I wonder, when you look at like a CrossFit affiliate versus an OTF, right? Or an Orange Theory, something like that. Like where, like if you compared them side by side, why do Orange Theory affiliates make a lot more money, right? For the most part. I mean, I know since the pandemic, it's gone down a little bit, but they're still doing all right. Versus CrossFits who are making somewhere between 12 to 15 grand a month, right? Like, is it the pricing model? Is it the marketing? Is it the branding? Like, where do you think, if you were going to come in and like, let me put it this way, if you're going to come in and tweak some things in a typical CrossFit gym, what would be the first couple things that you would immediately do?
Yeah, I think I would start with, I'll give you a little bit of a roundabout answer, but I think this is there isn't a silver bullet. So what you need to start with is understanding what profitability looks like for your gym and then backing into like where you are actually missing the mark. So that answer is likely different for a lot of different gyms. For some gyms, they probably do an excellent job of marketing and they have a conversion problem. For some gyms, they probably have a retention problem, maybe a pricing challenge. So I think it, like with any business, in order to come in and make improvements with profitability or revenue or whatever else, you have to first study that business specifically and understand the strengths and the weaknesses and what needs to be adjusted. I go in, one of the stories I shared with you is I went into a Barry's yesterday and there was 35, 40 people paying $35 for that class. It's absolutely packed. and I went into a CrossFit gym like a week ago, and I think there were 4 people in the class. And the reason, Wodify aside, the reason I'm disappointed in that is I think it's a great methodology and a great experience. The coach was amazing and like really good at his craft. And I was like, there should be like 20 people in this room. So in that case, there probably is maybe that business could focus on marketing. And yeah, so I think you really got to just break down the numbers, understand your business, and then just start implementing initiatives to move those numbers. And a lot of business mentoring and coaching, which is a great investment, I would say overall, but they just help you do that. They help you break down like, okay, here are the areas of your business you need to improve, and here are some like standard systems and processes you can put in place to improve those.
Yeah. I mean, the challenge, of course, is like if your revenues are low, the ability to invest in coaching and marketing is tough, right? Like you gotta, there's not, the pizza pie is only so big, right? You can't give away
Yeah.
that many slices. You got to eat yourself. So it's, it's a challenge. I mean,
Well,
when
but
you look, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you. I would just say on that note, where everyone could start without spending a dollar is focus, assuming you already had a business with a few clients, is create an amazing client experience for every client at your gym. And if you do that, you will get some organic growth and good things will follow. Your retention will improve and you'll get client growth. So, you know, just ask yourself, like, is every client coming into your gym thinking about your business outside of the 1 hour class and talking about it to their friends and feeling like they got more than what they're paying every month for? And there's a lot of different ways you can do that, and Wodify has tools to support that. But I think that's where I would start with that, saying like, well, I don't know how to stand up a Facebook ads campaign. So go create an amazing experience. Just like if you were launching, a product, like it starts with a really, really good product, like a physical product. And you can think about it the same way as the product you're giving the clients at your business.
Yeah. And a lot of times good marketing can be baked into the product itself, right? And
Yeah.
that's something that probably that's a whole nother podcast. But we don't just talk about CrossFit, right? You also work with martial arts. What are some of the other categories that you guys work with? And then I'm curious about the health of those businesses as well when you look at like the independent gym owner.
Yeah, good question. So how we got into other verticals, kind of like what I was saying with CrossFit, like the reason we were successful in CrossFit is we changed the experience of a client in a CrossFit gym, and that improved retention, which was the business value. And that's why we grew as a company and why so many CrossFit gyms use us now. And specifically, the single biggest area is this idea of digital performance tracking, which has elements of competition, accountability, gamification, all built in to some fairly simple software related to performance tracking, but it makes a huge difference. Like, and we have the data to support it when people are engaging with their gym in that way and getting PR stars and badges and seeing people from like one of our customers that signed up shared that they didn't even realize this, but they were like, oh my God, all of a sudden our gym of say they had 150 members before was these little communities of like 20 people, depending on the class they went to. It's like 20 people in my 5:30 a.m. class were best friends. They didn't even know the other members at the gym. They're like, we implemented Wodify. They're using the leaderboard and in-app chat. And now we have this way more tight-knit community. And we're doing these events and everyone shows up to them and they know each other. So anyways, what we saw is when we can change the experience, it drives business value and it differentiates us in the market. And in the past couple of years, we've started to see that in some other verticals that we're really excited about. So the first one is jujitsu. The backstory there is CrossFit and jujitsu actually have a surprising amount of overlap. A lot of
They do.
jujitsu athletes will train their conditioning in CrossFit and vice versa. So what we saw was we just started seeing jujitsu customers sign up for Wodify. And we were frankly kind of surprised. We were like, this must not work great for you. But they're like, oh, it works. And I started doing jujitsu. We have other folks in the company that are passionate about jujitsu. And so we just immersed ourselves in the industry and we learned, and we had this light bulb moment that was similar to CrossFit, which was jujitsu has been exploding in popularity, just like CrossFit was in 2012. But there's a problem. The problem is, just to summarize it really quickly, is it's fairly intimidating. And especially when you start, but this is all the way up to the higher ranks, it's difficult to know what your going to be working on that day in class. A lot of times you'll just show up and you're like, oh my God, this is what's happening. And then you watch an instructor demo the technique really quickly. And then you hit break and you go try it for yourself. And a lot of people struggle with that. And then they don't get the most out of that experience. And then there's little accountability outside of class. And so we took our digital performance tracking feature and we added some functionality to it. Where we created this way for jujitsu schools to program curriculum in Wodify, upload videos that clients can access via our app, know what they're going to do that day in class, watch looping videos of techniques in class on TVs, and then record notes and videos and track accountability outside of class. And just like in CrossFit, we're seeing these early adopter jujitsu schools like create incredibly successful businesses. The feedback from their students is amazing. So yeah, that's been super fun to watch. And then you start learning things like you were asking about jujitsu, and you're like, these people have been training at jujitsu schools for 8, 9, 10 years. Like there's something there you can learn and try to bring to CrossFit. And it's obviously an entire different world, but in jujitsu, you're working on techniques to progress through belt levels. And there's some lessons there for CrossFit. Like how are you helping every client at your gym think about what they're progressing towards? What are their goals? It doesn't have to be the CrossFit Games. But everyone's going for a reason. Like just help them think about their goals and how they're getting closer to those.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's a lot of overlap with jiu-jitsu. I mean, when I was in Santa Barbara and I was still running the gyms, right around 2015, which was, I would say, as far as popularity of CrossFit, that's when things started to really flatten or go down. Phone wasn't ringing as much. You really had to go out and work for the clients. You had to have refine your systems more. So I was learning a bunch of things, and I became good friends with Sean Apperson, who owned Paragon Jiu-Jitsu. So I went to a couple classes. Unfortunately, like I went to like 3 classes. I had 2 major injuries, like
Ooh.
right away. Like I had to go to ER once. And so I don't know. I'm going to go back to jiu-jitsu eventually. I think I'm going to do that in my 50s. That's going to be my thing. I pick up in my 50s. Anyway,
Nice.
the point I'm trying to get to is that I would go into classes, or I would golf with Sean like once a week, and we would always swap notes. And he was kind of at that point I was at, like around 11, 12, where it was like, dude, business practices, who cares? Like, we're getting so many new leads coming through the door right now. Like, let's just throw them in the class and sign up the membership and do whatever, right? And I'm like, and then from my personal experience with jiu-jitsu too, I'm like, dude, you have to have an onboarding. Like, you can't just throw me into class because I got hurt twice. Like, I don't know how to do a back roll. Effed up my neck and then completely tore up a finger. Like, you got to have like, I feel like that was something but they were so similar, right? The class model, the grunginess of it, like the type of people that you attract was very similar. And I felt like, jiu-jitsu could probably learn a lot from CrossFit being like 5 or 6 years ahead within the curve. So that it's an interesting cross-pollination. And I don't think, this is my thought I want to get on you, is like, I don't think that cross-pollination of business ideas and concepts happens enough across particular verticals within our industry. Like, is the Orange Theory franchise looking at CrossFit for ideas? Is CrossFit looking at OTF? Is Jiu-Jitsu looking at CrossFit? And like, are you seeing these cross pollinations of ideas and best practices across those micro niches?
Yeah, no, I think there's for the most part a lack of that at all. I think one of the root causes is probably that a lot of the owners of these types of businesses started them because of their personal passion in that specific vertical. And you're passionate about that vertical. You then start a business, you're super busy. And so the idea of studying or experiencing other types of fitness that you can learn from, I just don't see a lot of people doing it. And I think it would be, if I was a gym owner, probably one of the first things I would do is try to set up some sort of peer network of other non-competitive gym owners and experience their fitness and brainstorm with them, or even if you can't do that, at least trying some of those businesses. And just, it's not like you're going undercover at Orange Theory and stealing their secrets, but like, I went to a spinning class and I showed up and they had written in like whiteboard marker on a locker, like, welcome, Brendan, like this is your 5th class or something. And I was just like, that's a cool idea. So yeah, there's a lot of little things. There's some bigger trends you can keep an eye out for, but I think, if you one way to put it into practice and you're a gym owner, just think about like, okay, you're super busy day to day. Just start with anytime you're traveling, drop into a different fitness. Like that's a good way to start, because then it's just like, okay, you're in your routine day to day, but if you're traveling or on the weekend, go try something you haven't tried before.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And I would even suggest, because I got benefit from this myself, was just having a network of other business owners. Doesn't necessarily have to be
Yeah.
fitness within your area, right? Like, the coffee shop down the road, the bike shop, right? The big, like whatever it may be, like there's a ton of opportunities. Breweries are always interesting. Like, you can learn so much from all these other business owners, and it's just a good network to have, because not only do you learn about things that you never would have thought of, probably if you just stayed in your lane, but you also have the opportunity to, do cross promotions, just support each other throughout a local area. I mean, it's not necessarily, I would say, like your zip code is your niche, right? Whatever, if you're a local business and you're serving people in a brick and mortar or retail fashion, like that's your niche. You should own your zip code. You should know everybody there, because that's how you do like good marketing, good events and things like that. So I can't, the just the hustle, just being out there, being an
Yeah.
advocate for your community is really important.
Yeah. The other benefit to that, so completely agree. I do the same thing at Wodify and talk to people in completely unrelated markets. And the other benefit as a business owner is you might appreciate being able to give back. Like you probably have ideas that you've learned that you take for granted. And some business owner will be going through this challenge and you'll be like, oh, actually, like I tried this, or I use this company or vendor or whatever. And it's a great way to stay energized and figure out from the day to day that you're in.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. It was just anecdotally too, like there's a book that if this feels weird to you, if you're a gym owner or a business owner, you're like, it feels weird to just go out and like ask people hey, you want to be my network buddy? Like if that feels weird to you, it's actually not that weird, really, when it gets down to it. If it's only weird if you make it weird. But there's a great book called The Go-Giver. I've talked about this book so many times in my lifetime, by Bob Berg. Just this little book. If you read it, it gives you really good mindset and approaches to like how to network with people successfully in a not salesy or networky way, right? Like I think people think of networking within their local, they think of like some forced event where you have your name on a patch on your chest, and someone from a local insurance salesman is going to come pitch you, right? That's not the way it is. You just want to offer value first, and just be that type of person, and it's going to turn out really well for you. I want to give some time to artificial intelligence, not because nobody talks about it. It's talked about quite often. Uh, but the thing I'm interested in, I can't remember where I saw this post, but someone was predicting like essentially a flood coming of fast, cheap softwares, right? Like I know from your industry, one of the hard things is like if you build the main structure of your software, people who are coming in 2-3 years from now are going to have the advantage, right? Because they're going to have the newest platform. They're going to be able to, do things like so. It's only going to increase in speed at the way people can produce these software solutions and business solutions. So when you looking down the pipe over the next 5 years, like how do you think, these resources and the speed is going to affect your specific industry?
Yeah. I think, AI and technology in general is on such a steep exponential curve. It's really challenging to predict. So every time I talk about it, I'm like, well, this is going to age well. We'll see. We'll see looking back on this in a couple of years. But the way we've been thinking about it most recently is I think you're absolutely right that there's going to be an influx of fast development. uh, It'll probably drive the cost down on software and all that stuff. But it goes back to what I was saying. Like in a lot of ways, gym software is already flooded with cheap software and commoditized. I mean, we make very robust software and we charge a couple $100 a month for it. So it's already in some ways at that point. The way we stay ahead of innovation and development is through uh, are the combination of a really talented and sophisticated technology team and the actual insight and experiences and approach we have to the market. The jujitsu, vertical and yoga now, and even still CrossFit is a good example of that. Like we aren't winning because we built, payment processing and class scheduling better than other people. We're winning because we're pushing the boundaries of the new ideas and the innovation and the experiences that clients are having in these industries. And we're trying to change those verticals. And so I think it'll become easier for people to catch up to us maybe. But from a development and innovation standpoint, I think we're still seeing a ton of opportunity with that kind of creativity that's not necessarily being disrupted. And then I think the other angle is just fitness industry in general and how AI is going to change that industry. And I think it right now, at least, I'm very of the idea that fitness is one of the most human centric industries that I think will remain that way. There was a lot of the parallel in my mind is what happened at the beginning of COVID. People were just telling us like, and we were, we didn't know either. We were like, in-person gyms are done. Like people started having to work out at home, and now why would they ever go back to a gym? And every metric across the board from our customers and our business is above where it was before COVID. And so I think with AI, more and more people are going to spend more time surrounded by technology, and fitness, I hope, just doesn't devolve into one of those things. From a personal standpoint, I mean, I spend all day on Zoom now, and I think one of my most social hours of the day is when I go into my gym and talk to the people there. So we are going to do our best to leverage the advancements in technology to help gym owners make more money and get more people into the gym. But I right now don't see it completely replacing a lot of the human element of an opportunity and responsibility that gym owners have to help people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting. You look back at the past few years and how everyone just was not everyone, a lot of people were so easily just threw up their hands like, this is it. We're done. Like it's never coming back. Right. I got emails from my email list after particular ones, like two separate people I remember emailing me and being like, no, I've been in this industry for 30 years, man. And I'm telling you right now, like this is the end of the gyms. It was too hard to get people in before and get them committed. He just sounds so jaded. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think you're right, man. I think gyms are going to we don't know for sure during that time, but it was pretty like the pandemic's not going to last forever. People are going to go back. And I think people, just need that out, especially with the remote work. You're right. It's something that's really important from a health perspective for people to get out and be part of a community. When you look at,
but you can, sorry, just to touch on it really quick. I think there's also kind of similar to the idea of how can fitness business learn from other fitness businesses. There's still, it's not like remote fitness is the enemy, come back to my gym, where it's like, well, what can you learn from that? And so one of the things when we talk about creating a hybrid experience for our businesses is like learn from the benefits of digital interaction. And so we have features like the ability to program with video that people can see outside of class, or like one of my favorites is we launched last year was in-app chat. So people from classes or the entire gym or coaches to clients one-on-one can chat via our app. And it's changed so much the way our customers are interacting with their clients. And they're like, okay, now I actually can serve my client content or interaction, at 9 p.m. when they're not in my gym anymore, and learn from that, opportunity to have some sort of digital engagement with your clients.
Yeah. One of the things that I if I was still coaching gym owners, what I would present is like, really kind of pulling together people by interests, right? Like if people like to run, because that's the difference is now is like, you got to embrace the fact that the gym is no longer the centerpiece of someone's health and wellness, right? It's more diverse now. They have a lot of options. So you got to embrace, you can't fight it. You just have to kind of almost harness it in a way. It's like, okay, if people want a rucking community, provide that community. You don't have to be the one providing the ruck, just provide the connections and the centerpiece for that to happen, or a running club or a pickleball club, like whatever it may be. Like just embrace it and keep yourself, kind of centerpiece within those communications and the community aspect. I think that's really, really critical. I mean, do you guys provide tools for that type of thing to keep the community tied together outside of the gym?
Yeah, I would say indirectly, but absolutely. I think the digital leaderboard, the in-app chat, just the fact that you have everyone engaging on the same digital platform, and then give the gym owner just the tools to send the communications related to all those things. So we don't have yet like really specific features to enable those kind of things, but altogether our gyms are able to create a lot stronger communities. There's cool examples though, like practically how to do that with our software. So really simple examples, just we have, the feature to easily tag and organize clients. But just that, the example you're giving is a great way to do that. Like, why don't we send out a survey, see who's training for some sort of running race this year, and then you tag all those clients. Now you have a really easy way to group them in an in-app
Mm,
chat, or email them, or plan an event around them. And so, just I mean, a lot of gym owners underutilize their software because it's just not. Again, it's not why they got into running a fitness business. Like, I get that, but learn how to, just like the way, if you were a really good weightlifter, but you struggled at gymnastics, don't like stop doing gymnastics. Like, focus on that and get better at it. And so if you don't love technology, or you don't really love configuring your gym software, go study it and get better at it, and get on a call with the team to help coach you on it.
awesome. Well, I want to give a few minutes as we kind of butt up on time here, but I consider you a technologist, whether you consider yourself that or not. Inconsequential because I'm saying it. But as you kind of zoom back on like the industry overall, like what kind of technology or trends or things that you're seeing, like what has you most excited and optimistic right now?
Yeah. So there's a couple things, but the first thing, somewhat tied to your AI question, is uh, I would say AI and data, big data, like combining those two things to create the term I've been using is technology with human intervention. And I now have an anecdote that exemplifies it perfectly. So I'll share that with you. But I think what I'm really
Nice.
excited about is like that kind of powerful technology, not replacing human engagement, but providing a more effective way to do it. And so the example to share is we released a feature called Wodify Retain. We have a retention intelligence team of engineers who just study our data and apply really advanced technology to create features out of it. And so this retain feature predicts and prevents client churn. So we looked at billions of data points, and then we created formulas and tested them to see which indicators make it most likely that someone's about to cancel, way before you know whether or not they actually want to cancel. And then we surface that to gym owners in a way for them to take action on it. Now, we could have used AI to identify who might cancel, send them some automated communication based on, their profile information. Like, we could have tried to automate the whole thing, but we didn't. We were like, let's help gym owners intervene. And one of the stories that came out of this, gym owner contacted us and they were like, oh my God, this feature was so helpful. I had a task. I called my client and I realized one of their parents had passed away. And I had like an hour-long phone call with them. And then all the coaches signed a card and sent it to them. And that's just an example of how there's certain things technology will never do, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just a really good like human story. So I think, yeah, I think what I'm optimistic about is technology being able to create more moments like that, and give these really passionate business owners an opportunity to do what they're really good at, and what they love. And then I think the other thing that I'm personally excited about, that I think Wodify is doing a better and a better job of every day, is we are giving gym owners and and other types of small business owners software that is pretty awesome and powerful. And the example I draw is we use HubSpot in our business for our CRM, and we pay $70,000 a year for it. There's no world in which most gym owners are buying HubSpot. And we release features. We just updated our tasks feature, and I look at it and I'm like, this can go toe to toe with HubSpot. And I think there's a lot of, we're never HubSpot's a publicly traded company. Like, we're never going to have all of but we're trying to build really some sophisticated software and be able to give it to gym owners for as low of a cost as possible. And that gets me excited.
Yeah. Awesome, man. What do you, this is always the last question I ask, but what do you as a CEO, as a company, like what do you guys need right now? What's important to you as an industry? How can we help you guys? And what would you like to hear from people about?
Yeah, I think, if anyone's listening to this and already uses Wodify, we are obsessed with customer feedback. So please tell us what we're doing well, what we can be doing better. Most of our customers know my email address, but you can email support at Wodify or Brendan at Wodify. And we didn't really get into this, but just really quickly, like our company is bootstrapped. So we have no outside investors. What that means is our investors are our customers. And just give us 30 minutes to learn about your business, share some ideas. Our sales approach is very consultative, where if you don't buy our software, I hope you'll at least have learned something that you can apply to your business. And I've found it to be a valuable conversation with our account executives that talk to gym owners every day. So we'd love to earn your business, but more than anything, we just love the opportunity to chat and meet you.
Cool. And if people want to follow you or reach out to you personally, Brendan, what's the best way to do that?
I think probably my email, Brendan at Wodify.com, or follow. I don't have much of a personal brand, but I'm very connected to Wodify. So like our social media account, our website, I'd love for people to follow along, and we share everything we're doing.
Awesome, man. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for doing this. It's been a lot of fun getting your insights. I can always jam on CrossFit related things, CrossFit adjacent things all day. It's having spent so much time in that industry, it's just still kind of innate in me. But yeah, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate what you guys are doing at Wodify. And if you need anything else, just let me know. Ladies and gentlemen, Brendan Rice.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for having me.